Hello and welcome to the very first Henjamin plus TD podcast. I am famous YouTuber Henjamin, new on the scene. Would my esteemed partner like to introduce themselves?
I exist, and at this point, that's an achievement.
In the face of overwhelming despair
And cringe.
and cringe, I see.
Yeah.
So this is our very first podcast. I think I'd sort of like to begin by talking kind of about what we want the podcast to be about. And we didn't come into this with a huge plan, but we are seeing where the wind takes us on this one, I think.
Yeah. Have the sails be filled by wind or
Have the
whatever.
sails filled by all sorts of things. So,
Yeah.
so as for what I wanted this podcast to kind of be, um, so I in the description of my channel, I put it as a channel on sort of roughly humanities oriented subjects. So that includes things like history, that includes things like politics, that includes things like culture, media, which is kind of the vast majority of what we talk about anyway, right?
Yeah. What one could conclude that this channel is an audio-visual experience, you could say.
Well, I think a podcast is a more audio experience, really.
Well, but it's on YouTube, which is a visual platform.
It is a visual platform, but the only visual that I have an intention of putting in this pod is a crude image.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
a crude looking image, if you will.
Uh, is it potentially going to be composed on one glorious program known as Microsoft Paint?
Well, that was the intention, but I think that
Oh,
I think that we can, with lots of things as we go, the production value can continue to increase.
I
You know,
see.
we can start on starting on MS Paint is, I feel like,
A solid foundation
yeah, it's a
that we
found
can
it's a fa-
build our
it
walls of glory
yeah, in a
on.
way, it's a foundation to build a media empire, I think. Do you agree?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think when you boil everything down to its beginnings, Microsoft Paint is involved somewhere in every thing that's existed since Microsoft Paint has been existed.
It's a beautiful app, really. Like, whoever at Microsoft decided that that is something that they should put into Windows, like, it's a revolution, really. I think I think one could argue that it's almost put art into the hands of the people.
Yeah, and like thinking about Apple and their like little drawery iPads,
Oh,
like
which you have to pay about a million,
a
a
million
million
a million
shekels
currencies.
just
Um,
to just to have any kind of access to. It's silly to me.
yeah,
It should end.
yeah. Whereas Microsoft is truly egalitarian, he says about the global like billion trillion dollar company.
Those
Um,
billionaires, they've got our back.
Yeah, yeah. Like I was hanging with my mate Jeff Bezos the other day, and he was like, "I truly have the intentions of every human being in my heart. I'm going to really save the world." And I was like, "Thanks, Jeff." Um,
Well, we all exist for our corporate overlords at the end of the day, don't we? That's
yeah.
that's the society we live in.
Wow. I think we've speed run the "We Live in a Society" in podcasts. I think we should submit that to speedrun.com, is it?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
well, no, no, no. It's like I can't remember the name of the website. I think it is Speedruns, something like that. I can't remember.
I mean, I do have a computer in front of me,
Would you
so
like to? Would you like to impart upon me that information,
um,
or should I
it
look it up
might.
on my
So
own?
speedrun.com is a website.
Uh huh.
Uh, and I think it
I think it's
does
like
have.
like last I checked, it has kind of like leaderboards and whatnot.
Yeah, yeah, it has some. I'm not sure if it's the main speedrun website, because it seems. Oh, I think I've seen this layout in YouTube videos. Yeah.
Mm. What's that
Okay.
YouTuber? Like, who's that YouTuber that does like? I remember I watched the Super Mario Bros. Wii like speedrun history, something like that.
Oh, summoning salt.
Summoning Salt, that's the one. Good video.
Yeah,
It's a good video.
yeah. He does. He does a lot of them. I think
Uh, yeah, that's
it
good. It's good.
it it fits into my sleepcore categories of videos of
Mm.
just interesting enough, so that I'm interested, but not interesting enough so that I feel bad sleeping through it.
Yeah,
Uh,
I have. I know I have a lot of content like that. For me, it's like debate streams.
uh, I I respect it, but it has it for me. It has to be something that's
Light.
yeah, because I found whenever I have fallen asleep to something heavy, it's really messed with my dreams. Which,
For me, I actually quite rare. It's quite rare that I remember my dreams.
uh, I will tend to have weird dreams in the month of January, and then after that, they disappear. Obviously, this year, it's been a bit different.
Mm.
Um, we should probably actually vaguely explain.
Uh-huh. Well,
Well,
like I said, like I think seeing that we've just got on a tangent for about 10 minutes,
yeah,
I'm not concerned about our ability to talk our way through a podcast.
yeah,
Like, I
but
don't know
we
about you.
and yeah, no, I can chat shit for
Okay,
days.
well let's but yeah, as I said, like yeah, so what I wanted this podcast to be is sort of a rough we can talk about, I think obviously on this podcast um I want to sort of have it a bit more loose, seeing it's the very first one. But I think maybe in the future we can go into it with like a specific topic, and but we can also just talk shit around that where we see fit going forward. I don't know what you think about that.
I I can chat shit about anything.
Yeah,
Um,
like we'll have a specific topic like to go into, but we can also say what we want around that. So yeah, like as I said, like humanities, so we can talk about culture, talk about current events, politics, media,
cringe.
cringe, all sorts of fun stuff like that. And um,
Yeah.
yeah, but like, so I've sort of got a few different points that I'm going to kind of list off for this one, and then I've got a sort of bigger point that I think towards the end, when we've kind of crossed all of that, we can go into a little bit sort of deeper into that.
Hmm.
Okay, so first of all, how about we kind of introduce who we are, like talk about
Yeah.
like our kind of background and all of that, and just ease the viewers into our, well, as if we had any viewers, like I'm sure. Who knows?
Yeah. I'm sure in the vast annals of history,
Someone will.
someone may stumble upon this.
I'm sure we'll
Yeah.
like we'll wait and see. So my name is Ben. Um I go by, well, seemingly as of when I started this channel and have made a single video with more on the way, I've started to go by Henjamin on the internet. Um, I'm from the UK. Um, I'm currently an exchange student in Japan. I've been here for about 6 months, and I have sort of another 6 months ahead of me here. And I study Japanese at university, so as a result, I have a big interest in languages. Like, I study Japanese um, almost every day. I've sort of I've dabbled in lots of French. I've been recently working hard at Italian as well. So languages is a huge kind of aspect I'm interested in. I'm also keenly interested in like culture, which is kind of what I wanted to explore on this channel, like the culture of different places around the world, and both the high sort of culture and the mundane as well. Like, I've got a strong interest in politics and things like that, and sort of specifically sort of international relations and geopolitics are an area that really interests me. And other than that, I'm a very big sort of media buff in a lot of ways. Probably most notably music, but also video games and film and all that. Which, yeah, so they're the kind of areas that interest me and what I wanted to talk about on the podcast for the most part. So I think that kind of concludes what I'm on about. Like, I don't know if you want to do the same. Like, go into as little or as much detail
I
as you want.
can. I am TD. I also hail from the Isles of Britain. I have, instead of going to Japan, I've gone even further away, to Aotearoa, New Zealand. I've called this home for the last while. I can't be bothered to work it out in my head.
June 2023,
I
right?
yeah, June. I June, July, one of the 2 months of 2023. Um, I I am a history and international relations student, and I mean my interests are all over the place. Defining shit is not one of my strong suits, so I'm just this guy, you know. Um, I feel my shit chatting will speak more about me than an introduction could.
Uh huh.
But I think that's got the basics of who I
Yeah,
am.
I mean, it didn't need to be anything more detailed than that. You know, that's what
Yeah.
I thought. So I think let's begin with a sort of disclaimer. I think you know what. I
Yes.
think you know where I'm
Yeah.
going with this. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
so it's interesting. I think as of recently, a podcast has been kind of almost
Co-opted.
yeah, co-opted. It's getting a lot of negative traction lately that I kind of wanted to
especially
dive into.
especially surrounding young males,
Yes,
which
young males.
we both are. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, you're kind of like Andrew Tate style podcast. Like both the Tate brothers actually have kind of created this whole almost like right wing.
Well, I think while they were the pioneers, they've definitely got their followers, like Aiden Ross.
Mm-hmm.
While he does streams, he's very much associated, and then
I don't think I've heard of
um,
Aiden Ross.
oh, consider yourself lucky. He was the guy who I think recently snitched or unintentionally snitched on Andrew Tate for saying he was about to leave Romania. Um, because he has the IQ of my left foot.
Uh huh.
Um, no offense to my left foot there, but I don't think a lot with it. Um, and Sneeko, you've
Sneeko,
probably
of
heard
course,
of.
yeah. But but
Yeah.
but 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 Sneeko, from what I understand, he was banned from Twitch or YouTube or whatever.
Oh, yeah, but they all migrate to
Rumble,
Kick or one of the more,
Rumble or Kick, right?
yeah, one of the more fringe platforms
Mm.
that sure do exist.
Yeah,
Um,
Sneeko does that same kind of content of. Well, he also does kind of like crazy right wing conspiracy type shit.
yeah, but I don't know. This podcast will not be preaching the virtues of traditional masculinity.
No, and I think also it's kind of sad because like when I think of podcasts, I think of you know the both of us have a podcast that we followed for a long time, and that is I Hate Everything's Jarcast. And
Yes,
I think that podcast, which we follow quite religiously, has almost given us the spark to sort of do this ourselves.
yeah,
And that
we
and that podcast. Sorry, I interrupted you there.
no, no. Like I think for a good while, our we saw our own friend group reflected in the chaoticness of Jar.
Yeah, yeah,
And I
yeah.
think if we were
So
ever in the same place at the same time for a long period of time again, or even not to invoke lockdown, but if another one of those occurred, I think we would very much return
yeah,
to,
return to doing a similar sort of thing to that.
yeah,
Um, excuse me, I just took a sip of my
your
beverage.
beverage.
Um, yeah, and actually, to be honest, another thing that kind of inspired me was sort of more early uh, Joe Rogan, because like I think now the thing with Joe Rogan is that he just espouses a lot of quite strange beliefs, but before he just had that reputation of just being an excellent interviewer. Don't know how familiar you are.
Um, I never followed him. I always was like, I because before I really got into Jar, like there were a few other podcasts that I'd listened to, but it was generally while I was doing housework. Like,
Yeah, well, I
uh,
like everyone has certain like areas that they where a podcast sort of fits around their life in that way. I think.
yeah, no. Shout out owning a car. That's made actually listening to things so much more easy.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. So
both.
like like as well. I really enjoy like the I'm a big fan of Adam Ragusia's podcast where he kind of just talks about like food science. Don't know if you're familiar.
No, I am not,
Well, yeah,
unfortunately.
he basically like sort of just talks on his own for like half an hour on like a question. Like someone will send in a question and he'll give some kind of answer where he sort of contacts an academic or he like um talks about some kind of food science that he's researched through a peer reviewed paper or something.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like I've had a lot of experience with lots of different sort of kinds of podcasts in my
Yeah,
time.
I think I've listened to three on and off, including Jar.
Hmm.
There's another one that I've been listening to around 10 years now because I always used to listen to it while I was traveling by train.
Yeah.
Um, then there's one I think I was there for the beginning, and then Jar, which I did slowly try and start from the beginning,
Uh-huh.
and then catch up, but I called that quits. And like I've caught up for the most part,
E-
with the
Ethan
ones
Klein,
released.
Ethan Klein, Hassan leftovers.
Oh no! Oh God!
Let's not go there. Let's
Yeah,
not go there. Um,
yeah.
I
We'll avoid their
I mean, a
cast.
bit of a quite funny thing is that I now need the toilet, so I don't know if you want to keep the viewers entertained for 3 minutes
Um,
until we.
yeah, and if it's shit, we can cut it, I
If it's shit,
suppose.
yeah. If it's shit, we can cut
Yeah.
it. So
Okay. Right.
I'll leave it in your hands for a few minutes.
Can I yap for 3 minutes?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Let's go.
You can do what you want. Give me a
Um.
second.
Right. So. Well. Uh. What should I talk about for? So New Zealand. It's pretty cool. Um. It's not the UK. UK rainy. New Zealand's less rainy. I am not a big fan of the rain. Cars as well. I own a car here. I own a car in the UK. We love owning cars. The I found driving has been very beneficial. Um, which is interesting because if I lived in a purely urban environment, then I don't think I would have found owning a car in either country as useful as I have. But cars, it's just the ability. It gives you freedom. Um, like if I want to drive to like 5 hours away, I theoretically could get in my car right now and go 5 hours north on State Highway 1, and just see where I ended up. Um, but like before doing, when I was very much limited by either public transit or the will of my parents slash sister slash sister's boyfriend, when I was living with them, it was very much like, okay, I either have to ask nicely or have to get this whole like miasma worth of brain backlog just to check when the stupid bus was coming, and
How did you
then
do?
like I'm talking about the benefits of owning cars. Um, yeah,
I think the benefit of owning a car depends on how good the public transport is in the place that you live.
I mentioned that I did.
Oh, you
Um,
did. Oh, right.
yeah,
In
yeah,
which
because
case
I'm
you're way ahead of me actually.
yeah, like uh, it's the freedom. The fact that a car, and I speak to you as a non-driver, but
Mm-mm.
like
Will
the
be
freedom.
will be a driver upon my return to the UK actually.
You hang on. What do you mean you will be a
Well,
driver? So you're
as in I have the objective to carry on with
okay.
my lessons once I get back to the UK
Okay, I was
because
about to say, because
no, no, no.
if you're learning to drive in Japan and then you get a Japanese driver's license, that would be hilarious. Um, but
It would be no more difficult than driving in the UK, if not easy. Excuse me,
oh yeah,
if not easier.
but the fact that you'd go through another country's driving lesson and driving systems, and then have to convert your Japanese license to a UK license, would be pretty funny.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I don't even know if that would be possible. That if you can take a
Uh,
driving test in a country where you're not a citizen, or
I I hold my New Zealand full license, and I very much uh having researched it all, I very much could have, because the way that the conversion works is you have to have 2 years of driving experience on your full UK license or your full license in whichever state you originate from, to convert it to a New Zealand license
Hmm.
without taking any tests. And for a variety of reasons, I passed my test on the 16th of August 2021.
Hmm.
And so for the first couple of months, I couldn't convert my UK license. But well, I could have, but I would have been required to do the New Zealand full driving test. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to wait 2 months and then convert my license. And that's what I did.
Mm.
And it was
Well,
fine.
like I know that I've heard that in Japan, if you've got like it's different for if you've got like a uh, you have a driver's license from a country that doesn't drive. I might be wrong about this, but if you've got a driver's license from a country that doesn't drive on the same side as Japan, like for example, like if you apparently like if you've got a like a North American license, I think you have to do some kind of quick test, whereas a UK driver's license, you just sort of roll up and be like, "Hey, can I get a Japanese driver's license?" and they give it to you.
That's interesting.
I mean,
Um,
I'm not 100% certain on that, but it seems to be the
because
case.
yeah, with NZ, it's everyone here will have their like you can if you're from the United States, if you're from mainland Europe, pretty much every EU country, you can convert your license, even though it's on the opposite side of the road. And like a lot of the people from the United States who I've talked to, they're not the most familiar with like roundabouts and stuff, which no, which exist here, not as much as some places back
Because
home.
it
But
because in the US it's more common to have like the multiple lane crossings. No,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. And
it's like Milton Keynes.
one grid-based
Well,
city
one grid
in
based city
the
in the
UK.
UK.
Yeah. But yeah, I was pleasantly surprised with
Well,
how easy it was for me.
I think this leads nicely. Like, I'm not sure that I have any sort of more topics. The only other thing is like if there's any sort of like if we have any future topics that we want like that you have kind of in your head right now that you know you would sort of like to talk about. That's another thing that I think I would like to maybe discuss now. I mean, if you haven't got anything in your head, that's fine.
Um, Generally, in uh a week, I will I will come across at least one thing that I can probably talk about
That you think would
for a
be
little while.
well. I think also maybe in the future we can have guests
Yeah,
if
I I I think guests would be interesting. We
yeah,
can
like
get
we can like either uh, like our friends or anyone that we kind of meet that we thought might be interesting to have on the pod, or maybe who knows where it goes. Like if we gain a bit of traction, maybe we could get maybe some other
Barack
YouTuber.
Obama.
I think we shouldn't start with Barack Obama out of the gatepost.
I mean,
Maybe on
that can be
episode 200.
that can be the goal. If we get Barack Obama on the
I don't even Joe Rogan has interviewed Barack Obama.
no, I have you heard of the like series of like six connections and you're connected to anyone in the world
Really?
thing? Yeah,
No,
like
like
apparently only take you six people to go through, and you know everyone on the planet.
really, damn.
Um, I can get to Obama in three,
Wow.
although I'm not sure how strong one of those connections is. But yeah,
So
I
so so so
can.
so what you're saying is that episode 1000 Obama on the pod.
Yeah, why not? We can ask him about the United States,
Yeah, what he thinks about the current
about
events.
the United
I
States.
mean, that
Yeah,
might be in like 2030.
yeah.
But we might be dealing with a very different political environment at that point. Who knows?
I mean, yeah. Like, the world is changing. Although saying that is like saying the sun is hot. Um, but I don't know. It feels like now the world is changing at a more rapid pace than it's changed at for a little bit.
I think. I think geopolitically the world's changing,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and like this might be an interesting thing to talk about before I lead into my other topic. But speaking of the sort of the world changing, have I spoken to you about my potential dissertation topic?
No, you have not.
So this is quite interesting. I've decided what I'm going to write it on is kind of is Japan sort of ending its post-war pacifism,
Mm,
and my supervisor said that it was a very sort of good, expanding, sort of currently uh, like like very current sort of area, and that there's a lot of developments literally going on right now that means that it would be quite an interesting topic to do. And yeah, I think it's a good idea.
yeah,
Do you have
yeah.
do,
That
do
is.
you have to write a dissertation?
I'm pretending that I don't have to go back to the UK in just under 100 days.
I
So
see.
we're like, but I'm not. I'm actively trying to sort my accommodation out for my
Uh,
final year there.
yeah,
But at the moment, I've got too much going on here
to care or think about
to
it. Yeah.
cast my mind that far into the future. Um,
Well, yeah, it's kind of like for me, there's a lot of aspects that I was interested in talking about. Like mostly, I think that like recently, I think in the US, and I don't speak as someone as an American on this, but I think in the US now, a lot of other countries around the world are coming to terms with the fact that the like a lot of Americans have little interest in defending like the or sort of caring about the American alliances abroad. Like that's why you're seeing a lot of the Trumpism, America first kind of ideology, stuff like that.
well, America's always had an isolationist streak.
Yeah, I
It,
mean,
like it was originally designed to be isolationist, if I am not
I
mistaken.
think that was what was sort of the Jeffersonian policy.
Yes,
So like,
keep our interests out of Europe.
yeah, like
Um,
keep like don't get involved in European affairs because it's just again like the sort of concert of Europe. You know, it's a mess of alliances and balances of power that the Americans didn't want to get involved in.
yeah.
So
So it's not as though American interests being on its homeland is unprecedented, but
but it like I think where you can see that change is the probably the First World War. Like if I'm not mistaken, that's the first time the US engaged in a conflict that was sort of beyond its own borders, right?
you have the Monroe Doctrine.
Oh
So
yeah, where it
where they
was like
The Americas are ours, and we are going to not let you in.
well, yeah, it was
Have
mostly
fun.
like European Europeans shouldn't be allowed to intervene in
Yeah.
American, like the Americas.
Obviously, there were some exceptions, notably Canada remained British, and French Guyana and all that.
But for
But
example, there was
yeah,
like the French invasion of Mexico, where they
yeah,
were kind of kicked out of that because the Americans were like,
go back to
go
France.
back to
Like,
France, like
eat baguette.
you're not doing imperial adventures here in South, like North America.
Yeah, have fun with your baguettes and
But the thing
revolution.
is I think then after the First World War, the Americans returned to a very
Isolationist.
isolationist
Yeah,
policy.
they
But
refused to
then,
join the League of Nations.
but
Shout
then
out
that,
Year 11 history.
but then that tyranny, in a way, like with the Americans absent, like that tyranny kind of came knocking at their door.
Yep.
So therefore, like since the Cold War, like in a very, I guess, hawkish and aggressive American foreign policy is kind of our modern reality, really.
I mean, it was America's world police,
Yeah, yeah.
which,
Like against a it was the American superpower against a other superpower.
well, yeah, but even after Soviet collapse,
Yeah, I think then with
um,
America as
you
the
still
like even
still had America's world police.
well, it was America as the kind of one who like is the guarantor of all the democracies of the world, well, and non-democracies that were US aligned.
Yeah, but
Um,
yeah,
but with
there's a
the
chance that that's
but with the kind of
changing.
but with the Trumpism, like I think how the election goes in the US this year really affects kind of how I feel on this topic.
Yeah, I think that is one of a near
Huge.
infinite list of things affected by the United States election in 2024.
Yeah,
Um,
it's one of like many things that I think will be
yeah, I
affected.
think
But
yeah,
and like with like like Japan and European countries such as ourselves and others in Europe, like we traditionally understood that against sort of large enemies in the European case Russia, in the East Asian case China, that we could rely on the US to come to our defense. But now
mm,
I think with Americans less interested in their alliances abroad, a lot of European countries may have to come to terms with the fact that we can't necessarily rely on the Americans anymore so
I
much.
think I think the French have been yelling that at the top of their lungs since World War Two.
Yeah.
So
But then again, there was and I think Japan, which has been almost completely reliant on US defense, like might also have to come to terms with that. But I think like you just saw, but then again, you just saw Kishida go to the US for a meeting with Joe Biden.
yeah,
So that
it's
and the Japanese American alliance seemed very like stable there. But I think regardless, you're seeing Japan wanting to geopolitically like exert itself in East Asia to defend sort of Taiwan against Chinese incursions, to I guess reluctantly defend South Korea from North Korea. I think you are seeing this regardless.
mm,
So
yeah. I mean, I love New Zealand because one of my politics professors called our army a pea shooter here. Um,
a pea shooter.
and yeah, like because no one's going to be nuking Auckland, you know.
Mm.
Uh, like yes, we're part of Five Eyes.
Hmm.
but that's intelligence sharing. And I had a very interesting lecture by the actual head of New Zealand Secret Services, um, the like this last week, um, and it was very eye opening in terms of just like, okay, so this is what Five Eyes does. This is New Zealand's perspective on things. But I don't think globally, I don't think even Australia's perspective is considered in most things. And if our cousins over the Tasman aren't being consulted, New Zealand, it might as well not exist.
Hmm.
There's all I'm saying is there's a reason that most of the billionaires have their backup apocalypse homes here. Um,
I mean, like, well, I mean, like that. There's like another thing with that. Like, there's kind of a thing where the sort of there was began to be a lot of Chinese influence in Australian politics, and like a lot of sort of Australian
oh yeah,
jobs
under Kevin Rudd.
under Rudd, yeah, where there was a lot
Yeah,
of jobs that, and we can come back to Rudd because he's very interesting, uh,
he is.
and we can cut and I'm not sure if it was just under Kevin Rudd, but there were like a lot of like jobs that became almost completely uh, like reliant on Chinese interests, where because I think there were lots of minerals that Australia was exporting to China
Yeah,
or something like that. And you had like Xi giving a speech in Canberra, being invited into the Australian Parliament and all that, and that was something that completely evaded most Western democracies' attention.
but that was not uncommon in that early 2010s period. He was having a beer with David Cameron
Yeah, yeah,
in like places, and you know
yeah.
it.
It's like also a lot of
I
things. A
think
lot of things have switched on China quite like more recently as well.
yeah, I think the yeah, I think a few events have happened, and
No, yeah.
because of them,
Well, Kevin Rudd. Let's
lots
come
of.
back to Kevin Rudd.
I think Kevin can be his own discussion in a future episode
I
because
agree.
I need to research more of him.
Well,
Um,
he from what I know, he's interesting. Yeah, he fluent in Mandarin,
yeah,
and he did like Chinese studies at uni,
yeah,
and also
but
I
yeah,
think worked in the
we
diplomatic. But should we come back? Yeah, I think you're right. Kevin
we'll
Rudd
come
could
back to
be.
Rod.
He could almost be a whole like subject in and of himself.
Yeah, so but yeah, that's my country. Well, my where I'm living currently is take on take on the world.
Take on the things that are
Um,
kind of going on. Yeah.
we
So
are a small
actually,
trading nation.
like this. Actually, just give me 1 second. Uh, so this kind of leads on to the last topic that I had written down, and that was that I wanted to talk about kind of our like our like I wanted to compare like the life that I have in Japan, um, the life that you have had in New Zealand for the time that you've been there, and compare that to our life
Yeah,
kind of back in the UK. I think that would be an interesting topic for our first podcast
yeah,
from here on. Like, and I don't know if you want me to start off. I can do that.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. So, like, to talk about aspects of like living in Japan. Like, I think when I went back to the UK, and a lot of people asked me like what like what I thought of it. I said to them that it's been sort of incredible as it's been challenging, if that makes sense.
Mm,
Where like I think like for me, like I expected a lot of things here to be a lot easier than they ended up being, if that makes sense. So
Yeah,
so for example, like um, unlike in a lot of other countries, I think with Japan's sort of mono kind of culturalism, it's like there's the Japanese population, like there's them, and then there's kind of like foreigners and people who are kind of outside of that, and like like the two will kind of never be like intermixed, if that makes sense. Like there's you kind of have to be prepared to just be a foreigner in Japan.
yeah,
Whereas I think in other countries it's kind of a bit more sort of mixed together, if that makes sense.
yeah.
And yeah, I think because there kind of is that barrier, like I found a couple of things sort of quite difficult in a way. But I've sort of come to the conclusion that if you want to live here, that's kind of something you just sort of have to accept. And nor is it even a bad thing to just be a foreigner in Japan. You know what I mean? I don't know if you've got kind of
Um,
like I don't know if you've got like a counter experience to that.
my experience here, I think, is very different,
Mm.
especially on that level, insofar that well, I, at a certain point, got very fed up of people who I was meeting on the street and probably wouldn't be conversing with again, um, hearing my accent and being like, "Oh, where are you from?" So I decided that I would just parrot the Kiwi accent for the most part, and those questions dried up. I can either pass as a New Zealander, or some people will think there's something strange about my accent and call me an Australian. Um, so
What is this?
like
What hang on?
I
Is this solely just to avoid like being asked too many questions?
it's solely to avoid the really, at this point, boring question of, "Oh yeah, bro, whereabouts in the UK are you from?" And I'm like, yeah, I'm from like an hour outside London, blah blah. I grew up here, I go to uni here. Oh yeah, no, I've got friends there, like, and it's like, okay, I've had this conversation about 6 billion times.
Well, the
Like,
thing is, like for example, it like Japan is the complete opposite to that. Like you're like on the street, no one will speak to you, and also like you look physically different to everyone else. For example, well, if you're kind of like I guess like a white person, like as I am, you look completely physically different, and yet I've had people ask me questions, but that's only when it's been apparent that I can speak Japanese as well, because most people here don't
yeah,
don't speak English, so that
yeah,
they don't know if you can even speak the language.
yeah. I can pass as Kiwi for for at least a while. I think when certain subjects come up, like any ruse, um, will fade away, like schooling and whatever.
Hmm.
I like, but I feel I I feel like it. I pretty much instantly acclimatized to the slight cultural differences in New Zealand, and I have a feeling that upon returning to the United Kingdom, I'm either going to miss those things,
Hmm.
or I'm going to be like, oh my God, things here are so drastically different than I remember them, and take me back to New Zealand. I affect. I've had the time of my life out here. Um, and obviously, I miss like my friends back home. I miss my family back home, but I it's weird because I I don't think that I will particularly enjoy it when I'm back home,
Hmm.
having seen here, having been here, and be like, yeah, I'm glad to be home type stuff. I think there'll be some areas where I'm like,
But is there not like,
yay.
but is there not like a lot less to do, like compared to in the UK where you've got everything's kind of a lot better connected. There's a much higher population. There's much more kind of urban centres for you to sort of do things. Have you not
Um,
had that
you
experience?
you think that, but
Uh,
I've found that other than things closing earlier in New Zealand than in the UK, as if you're assuming you're not as the New Zealanders say in the wop wops,
what does that mean?
you're in the
Oh,
middle of
the
nowhere.
like the sticks, like
Right, yeah, in the middle of the bush with
the inaka,
nothing
as they would
around
say
you.
in Japan.
Yeah. Um,
Uh huh.
like there's I haven't found anything not here
Hmm.
that I would expect, especially in the area where I grew up, or where we grew up, should I say, in the UK.
Hmm.
Like there's 24-hour things here. There's
What? There's 24-hour things.
yeah, they're only like convenience stores
Oh well,
as opposed to
well,
like
I
big
mean, well, I mean, in Japan that's kind of standard though. Like
as a
every convenience store is 24 hours, nearly.
yeah, like as opposed to big supermarkets. But like and on the other hand, like you've got things. There are no Sunday trading hours here, which is the bane of uh, my existence to some extent back home.
Mhm.
So much so that we even have a funny little reminder called "Closed on Sunday" um,
That
in our friend
things
group
that things are different in
to
England.
yeah, to remind us that things close on Sunday.
Hmm. No, I mean,
Stupid.
like I will say in Japan, the convenience is unparalleled. But
Yeah,
like you, for example, after I finish this, like I haven't had a proper dinner. I'll probably go to the convenience store at midnight and go and get something, and I can just like I can guarantee that that's something that I can do, and that's awesome. But like
yeah,
I think that also comes at like I think that also comes at an extreme human cost from what I'm seeing. Like you get a lot of people that um, work really hard to keep that system kind of running because, and also like the people that the system exists to serve also work incredibly hard. If that makes it, if that makes sense.
yeah.
There's a big human cost to that. I remember actually last semester one of my teachers said to me about how now you have sort of convenience stores in the countryside that were open 24 hours. But in Japan, that's starting to change because no one is coming to these convenience stores like late at night on a roadside
Oh no,
in like rural Japan. So
in
it's kind of
rural
not like
Japan,
that. That's starting to change.
it's not sustainable. Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
because I agree. Like I would rather like personally, I would rather know that some poor fucking soul didn't have to like be working like literally all night for no fucking reason, and and the only thing that I have to do is be like, oh, this place closes at 10. I should go there before 10. You know what I mean?
yeah, I mean,
Like that would just
as
make
someone who
me
has
feel
done
better.
night shifts,
Uh huh.
uh, admittedly, it was not in retail, but
Hmm.
I I loved my quiet little night shifts.
Oh,
So
you
who
did?
knows?
That's interesting. Maybe.
Yeah, that for the most part they were in the lead up to coming here.
Uh huh.
And what with the I think it was at the time it was 11 hours time zone difference. Yeah, same as it is just gone back to now.
Mhm.
Um, it was a lot more easy to communicate with people out here than um, like it would have otherwise been. Because I could take a break on my night shift, whip out my laptop, and ping across some emails,
Mhm.
and bam, done.
Yeah, okay, maybe
Um,
because I've never done one myself, I underestimate how chill it might be. I don't know.
yeah,
Like getting paid to do fuck all.
yeah.
I don't
Um,
know.
yeah, well, I don't know. If ever you do a night shift, let me know.
I
Uh,
didn't with my job mid 2022.
oh yeah, yeah,
Although there was 6 a.m. morning shifts, that's the sort of worst thing that I had to do.
yeah. So waking up early is gross, but hey,
I'm very good
that's
at
the nature of
I'm
life.
very good at staying up late. I don't know about you.
I've recently got bad at it.
Uh huh.
Because I've been waking up at 8 a.m. and I've been kind of like, okay, I'm awake at 8 a.m. I if I'm gonna be awake at 8 a.m. I need to go to bed early,
Mhm.
because otherwise I'm not gonna be functional throughout the day.
Mhm. But I think
Wait,
sorry, I interrupted
no,
you.
no, you go on.
But I think like with the kind of life in Japan, like what I learned in the first semester is that like in order to live here as a foreigner, you have to be prepared to face a lot of sort of challenges. You've got to be prepared that like making friends with people won't be as easy here. You've got to be prepared that there'll be a lot of sort of barriers for you here. And for me, what I sort of learned from that is that it's given me a lot more mental sort of resilience, and that's kind of a good thing. I'm really thankful for the experience for that reason, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
So you know what, so for example, so that's kind of why I've come to the conclusion that kind of going forward, I just have to I think you should come with the mentality of I'm going to try everything, I'm going to do everything, and I'm going to take all the opportunities that I can, but I'm not going to beat myself up too much if I fall short on things. And that's kind of what I've sort of come to lately. I'm going to do all the social things that I can. I'm going to, you know, push myself to maybe talk to more sort of local people. Because even if because also, like, if you come to Japan and you can't speak any Japanese, then you're not going to make any local friends. It's just not going to happen.
yeah,
And also, like a friendship with someone, like a lot of people come to Japan and think, "Oh, I want Japanese friends. I just want all these Japanese friends." But I think you can't like a friendship comes from a connection and a common interest.
yeah,
Like
yeah. You can't,
you
you
can't kind of
can't,
force it.
um, you can't go in and be like, I'm going to make friends with this random person off the street because
Yeah, especially when
you
there's a
might
degree.
hate each other.
Yeah, especially when there's a good degree of like language and cultural sort of barriers between you. It's kind of like it takes it takes more patience, is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
It takes more patience, and that's kind of the sort of realization I've come to. It's like you um like you sort of like you need to like I've been trying to do a lot of things like as do as much as I can, like take every opportunity I can, but again, not attack myself if I don't live up to something, for example. And
yeah,
I think that that's a good sort of mentality to have if you're going to do something really challenging like this.
yeah. I
And
mean,
yeah, just like I don't know, just be kind to yourself. That's what I think. It's like I'm trying to think if I've got any more sort of points on this topic. Like like I've come to a country that's got a very different culture. It's taken time for me to adjust, but I've got the mentality of, for the remainder of my time here, I'm going to try everything. I'm going to take all the opportunities I can, and come at everything with a positive attitude. If I make lots of friends and I make lots of lasting relationships, cool. If I don't, then that's fine. Whatever.
Yeah.
It's yeah.
And like I think while we're young, doing this stuff is like whatever because
Hmm.
we can like our bodies can just do more. We can have late nights and
Hmm.
then decide to wake up at 8 a.m. due to our body clock saying lol.
So yeah,
Um,
you gotta make the most of your sort of ability to do these things, I suppose, while
um,
you can.
and yeah, likewise, I am very much going to try and get a job. I've set aside tomorrow as no assignment, all applying for jobs and do stuff because I think it will be cool to say I've worked in another country, and I also like money. Um,
Everyone likes money.
um, yeah, I feel very much like if, and I've also had like quite a bit of time, not so much recently, but uh, I feel definitely
Hmm.
in last semester, like where if I didn't have, I think, two or three people around me, I would have very much been bored
Hmm.
and like for not making the most out of it. So I
Mm.
think getting a job, making because I'll make friends through that job,
Yeah.
assuming I'm not uh completely on my own, but the type of jobs that I'm looking for, I'm probably not going to be because I can only work up to 20 hours a week
Mm.
legally on
Yeah.
my visa,
And for
and I
me
don't
as
want to
well,
get
like
kicked out.
I have a sort of like I as much as I can, I want to like continue like speaking to a lot of the people that I've already met, but take as many opportunities to speak to new people like as much as I can. But like again, ultimately with meeting people and making friendships, it doesn't matter what culture or country they're from. Like if you have a sort of a reason to be friends with someone, you have a reason to be friends with someone, and I think that's the most important thing.
Hmm.
Like if you've got a common interest, you can overcome a lot of barriers, be they cultural, like opinions, kind of like anything. You know what I mean? That's what I think.
Yeah. No, it's got to the point where I made a lot of friends over the first semester here
Hmm.
that were internationals and they were only here for a semester.
Yeah,
Um,
that's the thing. A couple of people that I got to know sort of towards the end, like kind of left, and then that was a bit of
yeah,
a difficult thing.
but it's I'm still in contact with them, and it's now got to the point where if my phone goes bing, I have no idea who's messaging me, like because I've now if I wanted to keep track of everyone, um, who I'm like messaging, let's say at least once a month, the amount of time zones and assuming those people are staying in the same time zone as well, which
You can't take for granted.
apparently is a bit of an assumption. Yeah. Because I've got people going like back and forth across multiple time zones, countries, and whatever, and I'm like, okay, I'm just giving up. I'm keeping track of like one or two time zones where I know I have people in, and that's it. And then the clocks changed. Here, well, no, the clocks changed in the UK, and then a week later they changed here, and then I was just like, right, okay, no, enough for the clocks. Abolish daylight savings time. The Americans were going to do it, but then because the Senate is
It doesn't
the
exist in
Senate,
Japan, I think,
yeah,
because I've been drinking drinks. The sad reality is that I need the toilet again.
wow.
I don't know if this is gonna
I mean,
be a real issue
I,
on the pod. I'm not sure. We'll see.
yeah, we'll see.
I
But
sort of
I
want to
feel,
like, but to keep the like I think we're on a bit of a roll. So I think we've gone at just over an hour, but I think we can keep it going for a little longer. What do you think?
Yeah, a little longer.
A little longer, maybe half an hour or so.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah. As long as I'm in bed by the next hour.
Okay. All
Um,
right. Maybe we can sort of chat shit and get some topics going. I'm going to grab my second drink as well.
I'm going to continue with my drink. Yeah,
Your current drink.
yeah.
Okay.
My
Well, I
which
like
while you're away, I will ramble on with it. So
maybe
or
this could become
yapping,
a thing of you
a
rambling.
recurring bit.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
I see it as I see it as a perfectly good thing. So I shall be back shortly.
Okay. Right. Hello, anyone who's managed to find this, and welcome to TD's Bladder Breaks 2. Um, so my current beverage is H2O, water, basic. I know, but does the job, hits the spot, it's healthy. So I feel I'm going to briefly discuss the varieties of tastes in water. We have like because I didn't really notice it too much until I came to where I'm living right now. That has a very distinctive water taste. Um, but then it's disappeared since um like have I acclimatized to it? Am I has the water taste changed? Um, I don't know, but the water do be tasting more normal now. So maybe I'm maybe it was just because I stayed at a different accommodation previously. Maybe it was that one accommodation that had uh, weird tasting water. But like every now and then I get a little taste of the old water taste, and I was like, ah, interesting. Um, but yeah, we're it's water, you know, like it it's drinkable, it's potable. Um, and if it's not, and I grow an extra arm, then I guess I'll have three arms. Um, Tap water drinkable here in most places. They do list some public restrooms that you go to. They're like, no, please don't drink this water. It's not drinking water. Um, but those are generally out in quite rural places. Um, and it's like, okay, fair enough. Because they'll generally have a water dispenser or anything or something like that nearby, regardless. So it's like, okay, just go. Yawn. Have that then. Um, other fun water things. Um, Flint, Michigan. I hear the water is not drinkable there. So
Oh wow,
if
that's really
ever,
interesting. Like yeah, I just listened to everything you just said, like, and I thought that you had such a way with words.
really,
Yeah.
yeah.
What did you talk
What was
about?
I talking about?
I was gonna ask what were you talking about?
I was talking about water. Um,
Water. Water.
yeah.
Well, well,
I knew that was coming.
well, well.
I think the creator of that song
You know, you
can have
know.
a podcast dedicated to him
Uh,
because yeah,
yes, no,
yeah,
absolutely. We were talking about future ideas for the podcast. Like
yeah,
a whole podcast on like the Kanye West downfall would be quite good.
a whole podcast on the Kanye West
Beautiful big titty and good
audio-visual
for taking a stay and
experience.
fall out the sky, you know.
Yeah. Oh my god,
Beautiful,
that
oh,
that
I listen to vultures having like while flying from Japan back to the UK. My
oh,
God,
flight music.
it was. There were some songs I thought were okay, but there were some songs that I
Okay.
kind of thought were the worst thing ever. Like the production was quite good. I won't lie.
I have not listened to it, and I will be reserving all my opinions on the human being
That is kind.
that is
That's
that is
definitely
yay.
that's definitely
Um,
its own. That's definitely its own thing.
yeah,
That's 100%.
what a human being.
Yeah,
Gotta
that.
be one of the gotta be one of the human beings of all time.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. Well, actually, that gives me kind of a new thing to go on to. I've got my second drink here, which is a strong zero apple flavour.
I
Do you,
see.
it's I think you can try this when you come to Japan. It's 9%. It's a like kind of a fruit and vodka.
Mm.
It's quite
So
good actually. It's very.
it's do we? Yeah, sorry to go back on the last topic. Do we use the term RTDs in the UK, or is that a New Zealand thing that I've retroactively applied to the UK?
RTDs.
Yeah, ready to drinks.
No, we don't use that in the UK.
Awesome. I'm gonna have such a shit time when I go home.
But yeah, but this is that. It's an RTD,
Yeah,
like a premix.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
that. That's what we would say, I think.
I'm 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 gonna have a hilarious time when I go back home because I'm gonna be like, yeah, the wop wops, and people are gonna look at me and like, what the fuck did you just say?
Well, the
I'm
problem is
gonna be like,
all the things in Japan. It's a different language, so
yeah,
it's not the same.
like because translating from British English or near approximations to American English. Like I can do that and I understand that because American English has
There's only a couple of
more
things that
differences.
Americans don't understand, from my experience.
Oh, you think that until you spend a lot of time around them and then they will say
What does this mean?
then they will say some stupid gobbledygook word and you're looking at them like no, no,
Well, I mean,
that's not a
like
word.
the thing about Americans and like the kind of relationship between like Brits and Americans is that the thing is that we have a much greater exposure to their form of English than they do to ours.
Yes.
So we generally understand their sort of expressions, but they don't understand ours.
Yes, which is why I have to translate whenever I'm around Americans to American whatevers.
Hmm.
I'm even learning Fahrenheit at this point because it's like my flatmates and whatever. I'm like, oh, right, hang on. No, it's not 20 degrees. It's like uh about 70 or whatever.
Hmm.
And it's like,
Well,
okay.
as someone with a European girlfriend, the main thing you have to translate is like weight because like she only understands kilograms.
I only understand kilograms.
What? You
What?
don't use stone?
I have I have a vague understanding of stone.
So you wouldn't weigh
But
you wouldn't weigh yourself and say, "Oh, I'm like so many stone," and then pounds. You would use kilograms.
um, yeah, that's what I've done. Not that I've weighed myself too recently, but I've always like thought of myself of fluctuating between about 55 and 65 kilograms. Um,
See, I don't even know what that means.
that is just from around 9 stone 10 pounds to 10 stone 3 pounds, I think.
Hmm. Okay.
Um,
Well, I would like to, I think, move into what maybe could be our final topic.
yeah, final topic of the day.
Final topic of the day, or evening
Yeah.
for me, and for you, actually.
Well, it's currently 1:30 a.m.,
It's
so
currently
I'm going to
10:30.
be
It's
getting
currently
about 6 hours
10:30.
sleep.
So,
Yeah.
fortunately, though, I have time to edit this podcast after you go.
I will be going straight to sleep and then waking up at 8 a.m.
Well,
Indian
you'll see the
Standard Time.
podcast on YouTube.com tomorrow.
Swaggy. We
Yeah,
love
babe.
that.
On the Henjamin channel. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
I expect all the alpha dude bros to watch this podcast and
I
then
was thinking.
instantly
I was thinking.
turn off
Yeah. Well,
when
what all
when
the
we're not when we're not talking about Sigma grind sets.
door suicide, Kurt Cobain, McLaren
Yeah.
720, but it sound like a plane. When I'm on the road, stay in your lane. Be getting killed like a shot to the brain. Suicide. 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 Stuart die.
Well,
Stuart
it's like
die.
Mr. Plenty is in the room with me, or in the Discord call with me, should I say?
What are the
Um,
other songs? There's
uh, Take You to Dubai.
oh yeah,
That's a
good,
fun
look
one.
good. I don't wanna lie, you don't wanna fuck, but I wanna try. Take you to the bar.
Yeah.
Would
So
you like? Do you think taking someone to Dubai would be a compliment or an insult?
it depends who you're saying it to.
Hmm.
Um, if you're saying it to someone who would most definitely not be welcomed in the Arab Emirates.
The LGBTQ community.
Yeah. Or or I I don't know, someone who's like apostatized from Islam.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, or um,
I think that's taken quite seriously in all Gulf countries or Islamic countries.
yeah. It's a very contextual thing. Lots
Hmm.
of people would love to go to Dubai. I'm sure equally lots of people would hate to go to Dubai.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah. Um, but yeah. So sorry, Sigma Bros. The Alpha grind set. How
So,
about you, Alpha grind? No, hand it's Sigma grind set. How about you, Sigma grind set? The Sigma variant of COVID, which probably half of them don't think COVID exists. But
there's this like I don't know if it's like NBA YoungBoy, but he's like fake ass coronavirus.
oh god,
Like I can't remember. Is it? Wait, I need to look up like which rapper that is.
oh,
Fake ass coronavirus rap song. NLE
no,
Chopper. No, no, sorry, NLE Chopper.
I know Freddie Gibbs was anti-vaccine for a while.
No, well, he gave in the I think it was the Freddie Gibbs Madlib Bandana album. He said
Yeah.
like it was the song. It's Palmolive, the song. I remember I played
Oh
it.
yeah, the one with Pusher.
Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah,
I played it
yeah,
for you in the car in
yeah.
2021. Do you remember?
It is on one of my playlists.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's got Killer Mike and Pusher.
Yeah.
The Pusher verse is so good,
Yeah.
so good.
Obama opened
But
his doors knowing I was a criminal.
Obama opened, yes, so good. But then, like in Gibbs's verse, he said like this U.S. politician, keep your vaccines off us.
Yeah.
And this was 2019. This was like he was ahead of the curve. This was before COVID.
Yeah.
He was
So
also speaking of Freddie Gibbs. He was the only good part of the one of the few good parts of the Vultures.
no, no,
Oh, we've moved on from that.
band,
Okay,
band,
bad. That's a bad topic. It's a bad topic. All right.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I've got actually three uh, little topics that we can sort of quickly go through in the last like 10 minutes or so, if that's all right with you.
Yeah, that sounds swaggy.
Okay, so the first thing is, hang on a second, give me one moment. So, um, the first thing is, I thought it might be quite funny to discuss what the kind of, because I was thinking that it would be like the title of the podcast would be the TD plus Henjamin, no, the Henjamin plus TD podcast, and then I
Hmm.
would go colon episode 1 with a subtitle. I was thinking it could be like the chaotic beginning because we've gone through so many topics over the last hour and a half.
Yeah,
Do you think that's a good title?
yeah.
Okay, you're happy with that? And then I was thinking
Uh,
Sorry, you were going to say something.
no, I feel we can maybe generate a better title than chaotic beginning.
Okay, what have you got any ideas?
Um, a
Well, I think the main topic. God, I'm trying to remember what we've already talked about.
and
like,
a
I think the biggest topic was like life in New Zealand and Japan. But I think
yeah,
we've also introduced a lot of aspects of what we're going to
yeah,
talk
we
about in the
have.
future.
As
So I
as
don't
I
know what
said,
you,
we can chat shit for hours.
but I don't know what you think the actual title should be. Because if we've got a specific topic in the future or a guest, we can make that the title. But for this one, I don't know what you think.
Okay, starting off with chaos energy. That I feel that is
Chaos
an
energy.
appropriate
I
title.
like that.
Yeah,
Yeah. So what? It's episode
yeah,
1, chaos energy.
yeah,
Okay, I like it.
yeah.
Chaos control.
Oh, Shadow the Hedgehog. Some would say that he is a bitch ass motherfucker, but
It's the year.
that's not for me to
It's the year
decide.
of shadow.
Oh, yes. I love it when companies do things like that. The year of Luigi was hilarious. The year of
Yeah.
Shadow,
11 years later, it's the year of shadow.
oh, please can they re-release Shadow the Hedgehog game?
They've
Please,
there's gonna
please.
be there's Sonic Generations Remaster X Shadow the Hedgehog.
No, no, I want Shadow the Hedgehog remaster. I want to see the stupid hedgehog with
As a
guns.
as a as
With
a as a very huge Sonic fan, I can say the game is shit.
I do not care. It's funny. The Snapcube fan dub is funny. I
Oh,
want to
I've seen the
see
Snapcube
him
Fandom.
and the devil go round collecting sin points.
Black Doom,
If
Black
they
Doom,
can,
Black Doom.
if him and the devil can be remastered, I don't care how shit the game is. I would buy it and I would find it funny. Um, yeah.
And on that note, let's talk about or as they might say on Top Gear, on that bombshell. Uh, what do we think? Like, I was thinking for the thumbnail of this, I could just do like a stick figure of me and you on MS Paint, just like that.
I think we do we wanna clickbait the Sigma grind set a little bit?
Oh,
Do we
what
wanna
get like, and we like. Do you want me to do like a drawing of like us as kind of looking like Andrew and Tristan Tate?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and have like Bitcoin and NFTs everywhere.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like a shitty clip art image of like a monkey that looks like one of the NFT monkeys. Apes, sorry.
meme
I
stocks,
think they were.
Dogecoin.
Oh yes, yeah, and then I mean I think you can shittily draw a Bitcoin. Considering our previous artwork endeavors on MS Paint, I think I think if
Indeed.
you draw a Bitcoin,
Okay,
then
I'll once like upon our ending this fine recording, I shall see what I can come up with. Okay, but the final sort of topic I wanted to talk about is kind of like relating back to the um like Japan versus New Zealand thing, I wanted to talk about like what do you generally like have to eat in New Zealand?
I feel that this is going to be a question that is very much shaped on the fact that
Uh,
I am vegetarian.
but as in,
Um,
do you think that New Zealand is vegetarian friendly for you?
um, the way that I've described it to my fellow veggies is it's like the UK, but about 10 years behind.
Right. Okay.
And so, yes, there is stuff, but not everything's marked. If I in in the Isle of Great Britain, if I walk into
The
a supermarket,
Anglo-Celtic Isles, if you will.
um, sure, I if I walk into a supermarket and I pick up something and it doesn't say suitable for vegetarians, then I am going to put it down and find a alternative product that will say suitable for vegetarians
Mm.
because I am not reading all through the label to check that there is no sneaky meat product. And
Yeah.
10 years ago, I did not have the ability to do that. I'd have to be label reading. I'd have to have some kind of Google or search engine up, and I'd have to make sure that
So you
like
think that like re-
some random chemical number wasn't derived from cow fat or
whatever.
whatever bullshit they've crammed in.
So you think that like
I
companies like, excuse me, supermarkets and restaurants and whatever in the UK have done like a lot better at catering to vegetarians and vegans. Like that's been a development in the last sort of 10 years or so. You think?
I think so, especially with the trendy vegan
I think
whatever.
it. I mean,
As,
as someone that like, I think it is a good thing. Like, people should be allowed to, have like the choice to do whatever kind of, um, I guess you could say like I think people should like with whatever diet that they have, they should be allowed to keep that diet up in as many places as possible. I do think that.
yeah, and it should be easy, like that you should mark if things are halal, if things are kosher, if
Hmm.
things are gluten
Yeah.
free, if things are vegetarian, like
Well, I would imagine
like
in New Zealand though, like there's less halal because the Muslim community would be smaller, right?
the everything community is smaller.
Yeah.
New Zealand is the same size. It's 10% bigger than the UK, but it has a twelfth of the population, which
You're wrong about that though. What about the sheep community?
sorry, I
Bigot.
the
Bigot.
I think the
Sheepist.
UK
You
community
sheepist.
sheep community in the UK might actually be bigger. Think about Wales.
What do you mean when you say that?
I mean that I think New Zealand only
uh,
has 27 million sheep.
yeah.
I think Wales might
Have more.
might
Understood.
um, it might not have more, but it might have a like similar amount or something, and then the entirety of
Yeah.
England, Scotland, Northern Ireland will bump the number over.
Uh,
Um, so yeah.
so, as a vegetarian in New Zealand, what do you generally sort of eat in a day? Or
Uh,
like when you go out, what would you go and eat? Nando's. Do you have
um,
Nando's? Do you have Nando's?
yes, there are Nando's. There's some generally in the bigger cities where I am now. There was a Nando's, but I think the last COVID lockdown murdered it. Because you walk past it and it still has all the Nando's signage, but it's just an empty building, which my heart did break slightly over that.
But you can
Um,
still find it like quite frequently in lots of places.
I wouldn't say frequently, but I would say if you put it in a search engine and you're in the North Island, you won't struggle. If you're in the South Island, uh, you're Christchurch or Nelson probably have one, but don't quote me on that. Um,
Hmm. Again,
but
like in Japan, like all I'm saying
yeah,
is that the vegetarian culture isn't very big. So I think when you come here, you'll have issues. Like, I was looking, and in Tokyo and Osaka, there are some like specifically vegetarian restaurants. I think that would be a
okay,
good bet. I think that would be a good bet. But for example, like the vegetarian culture just isn't very big here.
yeah,
So, for example, you'll get things that would be vegetarian, but they've put like a dashi in, like a fish paste,
yeah.
that then makes it not vegetarian. So it's kind of like I don't know. I think when you come here, I'll have to do it. We'll do a lot of research on like, but I would say like living here as a vegetarian would be very difficult. Very,
Yeah, I
very
think
difficult.
I think I would be buying plain noodles,
Hmm.
vegetables, and any soy sauce I could get my hands on that did not have any fish paste
Yeah,
in.
but the food is
Uh,
like it's crazy convenient. Like I don't cook
yeah,
here nearly as much as I would before because you can just go and get something for cheap from one of the kind of restaurants out in well, I live in Kobe, so in the centre of Kobe, I can find something new nearly every day for really cheap, under 1,000 yen, which is like £6.
which would be 12 New Zealand dollars or about 7 US
I think
dollars.
that's thanks to the completely worthless yen. But I would say that like the food that you can have in Japan is one of the great best things about it. I would say, like it
Okay.
for me
Well,
as someone with no
dietary
dietary
requirements.
requirements. I think
Yeah.
the
Well,
strong zero,
we'll
like in Japan, they call it the gaijin killer, like the gaijin killer, like the foreigner killer, because it's like that strong.
I see.
And I felt it, and I've sort of felt its effects increasingly throughout this podcast.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, yeah. When I will, I'm sure I'll think of something.
Mm.
If not, if I can not eat on a 3 day school trip, I can not eat on a 3 week not school trip.
What auf
So,
Deutschland?
uh, no, it was Belgium that
Belgium,
I pretty
Belgium.
much didn't eat any food.
Mm.
Yeah,
But there are like I did see some like I think this is kind of drawing away from the podcast into more personal things, but I did see lots of specifically vegetarian restaurants in Osaka and Kyoto and Tokyo
okay.
that would I think actually if anyone is interested in going to Japan that's listening to this, I think it is possible. Like it's not impossible to do so. Like I found like specifically vegetarian places that you can do that with. So yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, we should probably wrap this thing up.
Yeah, I think
Um,
that like I think that's a good natural end to this. I'm not sure about you.
yeah.
So yeah, that's been the first Henjamin plus TD podcast. I um I think that yeah, I think that the topics we've been over today have worked quite well, and
Yeah.
yeah, I think we'll cut it out there. Thank you very
Yeah.
much for listening, and we'll see you in the next one.
I have existed. Have a great continuance of existence, unless you don't continue to exist. Peace.
Bye. じゃあね。また。
Ayo. Peace.